This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. An Indigenous-led overnight shelter on the edge of downtown Winnipeg is shutting down. It's been open for more than 4 years and is situated next door to the province's new meth detox centre. Now it's closing its doors. The government says it's part of a bigger plan to improve services. But as the CBC's Santiago Arias Orozco shows us, to some people, this shelter is home.
Melina Lavasur says this building is more than just a shelter space.
Me being in there is like me building myself back up, making a new road, and yeah, healthy again.
Nadina Waymack, our relative's place, is where Lavasur says she spends most of her time. She relies on the space for meals, counseling, and staying safe at night.
You can just see the colors when you get here, and people are happy here.
But coming April, the Indigenous-led overnight facility is closing down. The shelter opened just over 4 years ago to offer culturally appropriate care. Premier Wap Canoe says shutting down the building is part of reorienting the services offered in the area.
This is the natural evolution of a long-term plan to move people who are currently using that facility as a shelter to other locations.
That's a bit comforting for Nathan Trout. He says a case manager at our relative's place has been working with him to find permanent housing.
I've been homeless about 2 years. I don't have a home right now.
Trout says he has been sleeping overnight at the shelter for the past 4 months, and the closure means he would need to find a new bed, likely at a nearby shelter.
It's going to be a sad thing though. Yeah.
The province says there is a plan for each of the 193 people using the shelter that will allow it to renovate the building, expand the units available at the adjacent 72-hour sovereign facility, and open a navigation center for people getting off the streets.
It's the first place that they go so that we can get you your IDs if you don't have your IDs, get you housing so that we can get a roof over your head, talk to you about seeing a doctor.
As for Lavasur, she still doesn't know where she will go next, but isn't worried.
A lot of people have their own ways to, keep themselves safe.
Still, she's hopeful the renewed facility can continue giving people a place to feel at home. Santiago Arias Orozco, CBC News, Winnipeg.
What happens when a threat targets a school? On Wednesday, RCMP announced 2 teens, one in Manitoba and one in Nova Scotia, had been arrested for allegedly planning a coordinated attack at their local schools. Recently, there's been a number of school threats reported in Winnipeg, too. Tonight, the CBC is looking at how these threats are investigated. Alana Cole reports.
Officers on scene at an elementary school last month after a threat was discovered on the school's voicemail. While Winnipeg police said no physical threats were discovered, it's one of the incidents targeting schools they've been called to this year.
These investigations are a top priority, and they start in that moment and they continue on until we either determine that there is no threat, we're able to identify where the threat has come, and sometimes even make an arrest.
Winnipeg police couldn't say how many school threats they've investigated this year, but they said last month they were called to 11 in a span of just 17 days. And 3 people, including 2 teens, were arrested. McKinnon says the investigations can involve an enormous amount of resources, from patrol officers and major crimes to bringing in the K-9 unit and forensics if needed.
We certainly don't want the messaging going out there that, if you write something on a bathroom wall, you're going to get out of that exam or that day of school. But you just don't know anymore. So, we have to take these very seriously.
Winnipeg School Division Superintendent Matt Henderson says their schools have received a handful of threats. When it happens, he says they take it seriously and work with police until they get the all clear to bring kids back to class.
It really depends on the nature of the threat. Sometimes they're electronic and from outside. Sometimes it might be within. But we always work side by side with Winnipeg Police and really get their advice.
McKinnon worries there could be a threat that turns into tragedy.
I bet you if you asked that community in BC if that was ever going to happen to them, such a close-knit community, they probably would have said absolutely not. I think we all worry. I think law enforcement around the world worries about this because this has become our reality.
Her advice for parents: pay attention to changes in behaviors, have conversations, and connect with schools if you notice something out of the ordinary. Alana Cole, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The search for a missing person from a community along Lake Manitoba is now a death investigation. On Wednesday, RCMP received a call about a 21-year-old woman from Ochechak-Wosipi First Nation who was last seen at a home in the area on Monday. Police, a safety officer, and community members mounted a search. Today, around 9 a.m., police learned she'd been found dead near Provincial Road 481. Officials say they're awaiting autopsy results to determine how she died. The sentencing of a Winnipeg man who admitted to beating an elderly woman now rests with a judge. Victoria Como was beaten so badly she can't walk on her own anymore. The 83-year-old was randomly attacked last year. Justin Getty pleaded guilty to aggravated assault. He has a long history of addictions and mental health issues. Prosecutors are asking for a 5-year sentence. The defense wants 2 years on top of time served. Getty told the court he was very sorry for the attack. The judge has reserved their decision for a later date. The family of a Manitoba woman who died waiting for heart surgery say human error played a role in her death. Recently, the family of Debbie Fuster learned her case form was filled out incorrectly. As CBC's Mike Arsenault explains, the family is renewing their call for more transparency in the healthcare system.
Debbie Fuster was told in 2024 that she needed heart surgery, but she died while on the waiting list. That prompted her children to propose Debbie's Law. It would require health authorities to be more transparent about timelines and discuss options for care outside the province. Recently, the family learned their mother's file was accidentally put in the long-term surgical pile instead of being categorized as urgent.
When we started with the push for Debbie's Law, it was under the impression that she was on a waiting list and they never got to her. We got called in for a meeting at St. Boniface and it was rather heartbreaking because it was even worse.
Colleen Dick learned a doctor filled out her mother's surgery form incorrectly. She says this type of human error highlights the need for the province to be more transparent with Manitobans.
If you're not tracking how many people are dying in waiting rooms, if you're not tracking how many people are dying on waiting lists, how can you tell if you're doing a good job? And I don't think that sending someone out of province is this big, horrible thing. It's a person's life.
Earlier this month, NDP Health Minister Uzoma Azaguara introduced Bill 27, a proposed safety charter that would set clear expectations for the patient.
What can patients expect from the healthcare system when they're receiving care? If patients have concerns or families have concerns, who do you go to? Who is the person who's going to not only help you navigate this, but advocate for you specifically?
Azaguara says the bill puts processes back in place that were dismantled by the former PC government. PC leader Abi Khan says the NDP needs to be accountable for the long surgical wait times and not passing Debbie's Law, which his party put forward as a private member's bill.
Debbie's Law would prevent incidences, tragic deaths like this from happening in the future, and yet this NDP government has voted against recommendations of a grieving family.
Dick says Bill 27 addresses some of the family's concerns, but not all of them. She says Debbie's Law isn't about blaming doctors or nurses, it's about accountability. Mike Arsenault, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Manitoba Hydro rates are going to keep rising over the next 2 years. The provincial energy regulator just approved a 3.5% electricity rate hike in 2027, followed by a 3% hike in 2028. These come on top of a 4% hike that went into effect on January 1st. The provincial regulator says Hydro needs more revenue to fix its aging infrastructure. That includes its main transmission lines. All right, time to bring in Riley Lachuk. And Riley, still a bit of a spring weather day out there today, a little wet and mucky.
We are in the midst of that transition. I mean, only fitting that it's the final full day of winter, Brittany. And yeah, we're going through the freeze thaw and everything that comes along with that. Still remaining freezing rain warning in place for Little Grand Rapids and Bloodvein. We have seen an area of freezing rain pushing across the northern Interlake through the morning, through the afternoon hours today. I expect that will be dropped as this little bit of moisture starts to push out of the province into northwestern Ontario. The rest of the province under mainly cloudy skies, although we have carved out a bit of sunshine into parts of western Manitoba. A few peaks of the sun here in Winnipeg today, but the story all about the temperatures. +4 in the city this afternoon, all the way up to 14 degrees in Melita, 3s for Roblin and Swan River. And with some of that melting that we've seen and some of the cloud cover that we've seen, prepare for a foggy night ahead across much of southern Manitoba, down to 1 degree. We'll get that cloud cover remaining in place through the night tonight. Another risk, we could see some freezing drizzle first thing in the morning, Brittany, and we'll try again for 3 degrees tomorrow afternoon.
Thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
Still ahead, how the immigration system could be working against the country's own push to recruit more workers. We'll have more on that ahead. Major players in Manitoba's construction industry are raising questions about what they're calling a hidden fee. Contractors involved in big government-funded projects are being charged an additional cost collected by the unions, and they say there's no transparency around the money or where it's going. CBC's Ian Fraze joins us from the newsroom. And Ian, when does this fee apply?
Brittany, it applies to public construction projects costing at least $50 million, like schools. It's the NDP that made this new deal, called the Manitoba Jobs Agreement, that ensures these projects prioritize Manitoba workers. Those contractors have noticed a surcharge on hourly wages, 85 cents per hour per worker, and they don't like it.
If the number is 85 cents on every hour worked, these are very significant cost implications for some of these large projects. We want to know if there's a plan to use the money, what it's for, how it'll be tracked.
He's been trying to get answers to those questions for a few months. Now, this fee will go to the Manitoba Building Trades, a coalition of construction and trade unions. They say it's an administrative fee and the money's worth it.
There are common practices across the country on major projects, whether that's the government of Ontario doing it, private contractors across the country on major hospital and infrastructure builds. We are bringing worker perspective and worker prioritization and worker planning to the forefront of capital projects.
The three construction associations that have raised this issue want the Auditor General to investigate the government's handling of these contracts.
Okay, Ian, on a different story, the NDP announcing a new personal care home is coming to Winnipeg. So this plan might sound familiar to people in Bridgewater. Why is that?
Because they heard it 10 years ago. This building, first announced in 2015, nothing's happened, and now it's back. Manitoba government spending $95 million on a 140-bed facility. Elaine Cohen is a resident at the Melody retirement community where the announcement was made. She says there's a huge demand for care home space in her neighborhood.
Gives people like me and you and our families real peace of mind. This isn't just about building a building. It's about knowing there will be a place for us when we need that support.
We still don't know the location or when it will be built and open. Consultations will start in June. Brittany.
CBC's Ian Fraze. A Manitoba nurse says Canada's immigration system is working against efforts to recruit healthcare workers. The nurse was denied permanent residence despite meeting all the requirements. The CBC's Arturo Chang reports.
Matt Ushakov must keep up with the news. A Russian man in his 20s, he faces conscription or jail time should he go back to his country of birth. That's a possibility after Canada denied him permanent residence.
I'd love to stay in Canada and continue being a nurse and serving Canadians. I was in shock and I didn't know what to do. And now it's just very stressful.
Ushakov got his nursing degree at the University of Manitoba. He's been working at Winnipeg's St. Boniface Hospital since 2024. Ushakov applied for Canadian residency through a program that gives priority to healthcare workers, but was denied on a technicality. An immigration official says he gave insufficient evidence because he didn't list his job duties. That's even though his employer said he was a registered nurse.
For a lot of people, there is no confusion when it comes to what a registered nurse does within hospital grounds.
Behnam Behbudinejad also works at St. Boniface. He was about to file his permanent residence application when he heard Ushakov's news, but now he's worried.
I wish the system was a lot more clear about what they want on when we are submitting documents. The descriptions, it's quite vague.
Manitoba's Nurses Union is advocating for Ushakov and asking the province to look into it. The federal government says a request to review the decision is pending. Toronto immigration lawyer Maureen Silkov says those options are slow and waste resources. She says it would make more sense if the government just asked people to correct details when reviewing an application. But that's not how the system works.
In
situations such as healthcare applications, Canada has a real labor shortage. Canada has prioritized these category-based applications under express entry. So it's actually absurd to refuse someone's application when they qualify for a fairly superficial reason.
Ushakop's work permit expires in about 6 months. He hopes he has enough time to try for permanent residence again. Arturo Chang, CBC News, Winnipeg.
All right, Riley back in now. And like you said, this is our last day of winter.
Yeah.
It might not look like it outside.
I'm sporting the snowflakes
Right?
for the last time.
I had some color on earlier and it was trying to woo spring.
Yeah.
Not really working, but maybe I'm wooing it in other parts of the country,
continent, yeah.
North America.
Yeah, some very, very warm air. Not even that far south of us, Brittany. Let's start big picture with a look at temperatures. And this is sort of what's been helping drive our weather in this very unstable air mass that we've been in. So, I mean, 4 degrees in Winnipeg this afternoon. That is above seasonal. But look at just a little bit south of us, Bismarck. 24 degrees this afternoon. Denver, 29. Some parts of the southwest U.S. could be pushing 30 by the end of the week. This is all because of a large area of high pressure that is parked over the U.S. southwest. That's elevated the jet stream up over central parts of the country, which is why we've been getting the residual moisture from that atmospheric river event that moved through parts of British Columbia earlier in the week. So all of that riding along the storm track with some very, very warm air to the south of us. In fact, parts of southern Ontario could actually get into some thunderstorm activity tomorrow afternoon. That's all the result of where that upper level air comes and a lot of activity in the upper levels of the atmosphere, which is why we've seen such an up and down in our temperatures, not just across the southern prairies, but really across much of the continent. So the warm front that did bring some of that warm weather in and also triggered some of that freezing rain, that pushes out as we get through the night tonight. There is maybe a little bit more instability riding in behind this. So with all the melting we had, I said it earlier, prepare for a bit of a foggy night ahead. Pretty much across southern Manitoba, there's the potential for some fog to start rolling in, and we've seen some of that already, particularly here in Winnipeg. In the morning, there is the chance that we do see some freezing rain. Again, the ingredients are there across the south. Localized and very quick. If that, it's out of the way by the time we get to the lunch hour. And then I think we're actually into some sunny breaks across the south with another area of low pressure bringing a bit of light snow to northern Manitoba. I'm not talking any major accumulations, another maybe 2 to 4 centimeters as we get through the day Friday into Saturday for northern Manitoba. And then the south gets another round of it as we get into Saturday overnight into the morning hours. This is another quick mover again. So by the afternoon, we're out of it, but there's the chance into the evening that we do get a few more flurries into the evening hours Saturday into Sunday. Like I said, I'm not looking at any major accumulations across northern Manitoba. In fact, some of these numbers in the south are amplified because into Saturday we'll see temperatures close to the freezing mark. That'll mean some of this melting on contact and some of it likely falling as a straight rain event as well. So as we push into the long range, there's that 3-degree high tomorrow afternoon at the freezing mark Saturday with periods of light snow, and we're looking at temperatures dipping a bit as we get into the day on Sunday.
The weather update is brought to you by Paul Davis Property Restoration Experts. When things go wrong, we do what's right.
All right, well, as you can see, lots of melting out there today, but we'll have more ahead right after this. Stay with us. Iran has unleashed a series of attacks on energy facilities across the Persian Gulf. It says the barrage was in retaliation for the recent Israeli strike on one of its largest gas fields. And it sent oil prices soaring, trading briefly above $119 US a barrel, underscoring Iran's continued ability to exact a heavy price for being attacked by the US and Israel. The CBC's Katie Simpson reports from Doha.
Iran is ratcheting up its attacks, targeting energy infrastructure sites all over the Gulf region, taking aim at Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar. It is Qatar that has suffered the most extensive damage so far. Missiles were intercepted, but the debris still struck a key LNG production facility, causing huge fires and massive damage. The CEO of Qatar Energy says about $20 billion worth of production has been wiped out, and that contracts with European and Asian countries, they are going to have to be canceled. Qatar's prime minister is demanding an end to the war, calling these Iranian strikes a very dangerous escalation. While the Saudi foreign minister, he delivered a blunt warning to the Iranian regime.
We have reserved the right to take military actions if deemed necessary. If the time comes, the leadership of the kingdom will take the necessary decision.
Iran has said it was responding to an Israeli strike on the South Pars gas field. It is a really important energy source for domestic power in Iran. And immediately in the aftermath, it vowed to seek revenge. All of this is leading to new concern that this conflict could spiral into an even broader war. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Doha.
U.S. President Donald Trump says he's told Israel to not repeat its strikes on Iran's energy facilities. The prolonged war and spike in global oil prices could cost him politically at home. This as the Pentagon seeks additional $200 billion in funding for the war, with opposition brewing from both Democrats and Republicans. The CBC's Katie Nicholson reports.
U.S. President Donald Trump was quick to justify why the U.S. military needs an additional $200 billion from Congress, and quick to say it isn't all to fund his war with Iran.
Well, we're asking for a lot of reasons beyond even what we're talking about in Iran. This is a very volatile world. We want to have vast amounts of ammunition, which we have right now. We have a lot of ammunition, but it was taken down by giving so much to Ukraine. They gave so much.
The ask hasn't been formally brought to Capitol Hill, but it's already getting pushback from Democrats who aren't buying what the president is saying.
A $200 billion supplemental for a war that has never been approved by Congress, with lowball estimates on the current costs to Americans and the potential for misinterpreting or spinning it as approval of the war, seems to me a non-starter.
And some moderate Republicans are also wary.
The people in Alaska are asking me, how long is this going on? Are there going to be boots on the ground? How much is this going to cost before I can do my Article 1 responsibility in terms of helping to fund a war effort? I want to know some of the answers to the questions that Alaskans are asking me.
There was also a diplomatically awkward moment when reporters asked Trump why he didn't give allies a heads up before starting strikes on Iran. With the Japanese prime minister sitting next to him, he invoked Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941.
One thing you don't want to signal too much, you know, when we go in, we went in very hard, and we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay? Why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay? Right? You know, he's asking me, do you believe in surprise? I think much more so than us.
Despite that moment, the Japanese were scheduled to discuss potentially assisting the U.S. with some minesweepers, which could be used in the Strait of Hormuz. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Washington.
Canada has signed a joint statement with several European nations calling on Iran to stop targeting oil facilities in the Gulf and to end its stranglehold on the Strait of Hormuz. That as EU leaders gather in Brussels to discuss the war and its growing economic impact. Anna Cunningham has details from London.
There is a nervousness spreading across Europe as energy prices rise sharply. EU leaders are in Brussels meeting for a two-day summit, fully aware of the urgency to find a joint approach to ease the impact on consumers. Some countries are already taking action. Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni announcing late Wednesday a package of emergency measures to stop price increases, including an immediate reduction at the pumps for motorists. Germany, too, is legislating to cap gas prices, permitting only one rise daily at fuel stations. The UK and Japan have joined France, Germany, Italy and the Netherlands, issuing a joint statement about the Strait of Hormuz. It calls on Iran to cease immediately its threats, including the laying of mines, drone and missile attacks and other attempts to block the strait. This joint statement says they express their readiness to contribute to appropriate efforts to ensure safe passage through the strait, adding they will take other steps to stabilise energy markets, including working with certain producing nations to increase output and support the nations most affected. European leaders have indicated they are in agreement that the war on Iran is one they are reluctant to join. The Dutch Prime Minister says there is a willingness to help in the Strait of Hormuz, but not until there is a de-escalation in this conflict.
Well, energy prices is the top priority. It was already, before the war in the Middle East, the absolute top priority of my agenda and I think the European agenda, and this has become all the more present, urgent after the events that we have been witnessing in the Middle East. For now, I can tell you that Belgium has no intentions to get implicated in the war on Iran. None whatsoever.
The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has also called for all sides to stop this war, saying it's time for diplomacy to prevail. Anna Cunningham, CBC News, London.
Well, if you're wondering how Iran's blockage of the Strait of Hormuz affects the cost of energy here in oil-rich Canada, host of the CBC's About That, Andrew Chang, explains.
How does an oil blockage halfway around the world in the Middle East affect the price of gas here in Canada so quickly? Like, almost none of the oil that tankers carry through this tiny little waterway that Iran has blocked even comes to Canada. The vast majority goes to Asia. And yet, gas prices here up and up and up. What is that invisible string that connects the two things?
Iran continues to threaten to strike any ship that travels through the crucial strait.
What this does is drives up the cost of oil and ultimately the price that people pay at the pump.
There are at least dozens of tankers waiting to enter the Strait of Hormuz, and there are literally hundreds of ships inside the Persian Gulf trying to get oil out of that area.
Those ships, they represent bits and pieces of a much larger machine that can move oil from basically any country to any country. So the global oil market is a bit like a swimming pool. Whether oil is pumped into the pool by Canada, the US, or Saudi Arabia, it's all going into the same place, onto the same market. And countries around the world draw from this same place, this same market as well. That's the global supply of oil. But let's say one giant pipe suddenly gets blocked, like oil tankers unable to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. The water level for everybody drops. And that makes the value of that commodity, oil in this case, go up.
A major supply disruption anywhere translates into a price increase everywhere.
As for why that price increases so quickly, gas stations, they're not charging you what they paid for the gas you're pumping. They're charging you for what it'll cost them to replace the gas you're pumping.
Well, you can check out more episodes of About That with Andrew Chang, where he goes beyond the headlines and explains the major news stories. Watch on CBC Gem and the CBC News YouTube channel. Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre is in New York today. It's part of his trip to the U.S., touting the importance of free trade between our two nations. He also appeared as a guest on one of the world's most popular and most controversial podcasts, The Joe Rogan Experience. That was released earlier today. In the episode, the two discuss a range of topics, including the differences between Canada and the U.S. Here's a bit of Poilievre speaking about his view of Canada's political system.
So our system is really designed to constrain the power of government through what we call parliament. Like, I don't work for government, I work for parliament, and parliament works for the people. We call it the House of Commons because it's the House of the common people. It's green in there because they used to meet in the fields of England. And so I really view the role of our parliament to limit the power of government, to maximize the power of the people, make people bigger, stronger, and more fulfilled by having the government narrowly focus on the things it's supposed to do. Roads, military, basic social safety net, borders, police, etc., but then leave people alone to live their lives. If I were to start a political party from scratch, it would be the Mind Your Own Damn Business Party. You know, just get the government to do its job well, do 4 or 5 things really well, and then let people live their lives.
You can catch more of that interview on our website. But coming up, why more girls are lacing up to play hockey. Plus, we'll head to rural Manitoba to see how some moms are stick handling the situation and getting girls back in the game. That's next. For years, it was a dream many young girls experienced from the spectator side of the glass, heading to the hockey rink to watch brothers and friends play, not having the opportunities to do it themselves. But now that's changing. The sport is gaining more popularity among women and girls. And one reason behind the push to play could have something to do with some high-level role models.
A shot, a chance, an opportunity. These girls are taking them all, stick in hand. It's game day for the U9 Winnipeg East Stars girls hockey team, and that comes with all kinds of feelings.
Nervous because, I don't know, I just always feel nervous. It just feels like I can win.
It's a feeling more and more girls are getting the chance to have. According to Hockey Manitoba, in the last 2 years, minor female enrollment has jumped to more than 5,500 players, adding more than 600 new girls to the sport. Double-digit growth, even among the youngest.
Under 7 girls, we have seen a 16% increase over the last 2 years, almost 1,000 players.
And it's not just here in Manitoba. It's a wave happening right across the country. The 2024-25 season was record-breaking, according to Hockey Canada, with more than 115,000 female players registered. More players, more teams, and more opportunities. Chances their coaches remember not having.
The girls need a space that they can enjoy the game. I grew up where only boys were able to play, and we had our own change rooms that were made out of, broom closets.
For years, it's been a struggle to increase the number of girls in hockey. But the Professional Women's Hockey League helped shine a bright light, adding visibility and interest.
I think young girls growing up, seeing something they can aspire to, being inspired by these women, and really, maybe dreams being born that they want to chase to play in the PWHL one day.
Players from right here in Manitoba, like Jocelyn Larocque, have become role models. The PWHL says it's about making sure girls no longer feel limited because of their gender.
It's just so important to try to keep girls in sport. We've, seen all the research around what sport does for young kids in terms of character development, in terms of confidence, of course, health, both physical and mental. And so we want to keep kids in sport as long as we can.
Giving them opportunities to stay with the game, to referee, coach, and lead the next generation.
I think it means a lot for the parents, for the girls that grew up and we played with the boys and could only see male NHL players. And now we have girls who can follow this sport into college or beyond and do the things that dreams are made of.
For little girls just starting out in the sport, it helped makes them feel
unstoppable
on and off the ice.
One area that's seen an influx in girls hockey players recently is in McGregor. They're getting more girls involved, one player at a time. But these rural communities are often faced with other challenges in doing so. Chelsea Lewis is a mom, coach, and former hockey player who is helping grow the sport for the younger generation and joins me now. Thanks for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So Chelsea, McGregor is one of the communities that's seen that increase in girls enrollment really just in the last year. Tell me about the changes.
Yeah, we were very excited this year to have enough players for 2 all-girls teams. We were able to get a U9 team and a U15 team, pulling from multiple rural towns, but able to get them up and going for the first time in a long time. So we're very excited.
It's so great. So that is part of that group of girls that have just enrolled in the past couple of years. So what is it like for young girls who want to play hockey in rural Manitoba?
It's exciting to see the growth. I think so many of us that started playing hockey for the first time are now having kids and getting the sport up and going again. We were really excited to see tons of girls show up, and the excitement behind the sport is so contagious, I think, for so many people. Even parents that didn't play hockey growing up, watching their kids now, they're saying, I wish we could have done something like that as a kid.
I love that, because you as a former player, having kids, wanting to get them involved is really that cycle of how we keep kids in sport going. When you and I spoke earlier, we were talking a little bit about some of the barriers and challenges that impact girls hockey in rural communities more than in major cities. And we're talking not just the cost once we're able to get the girls into the sport, but there's a lot of other challenges. What are you guys seeing?
Yeah, for us, it's definitely numbers, seeing enough to make a team for sure. And then having teams to play against that we don't have to travel 3 or 4 hours to get to. And then, of course, for us, with the increase of the teams, ice time is definitely harder to come by. You know, our rink serves a lot of different teams, and it's just hard to accommodate everybody.
Infrastructure is always a challenge. We know that. So you were saying that one thing you guys have managed to do is actually sharing ice time and splitting times among teams. How does that work?
Yeah, for our U9 team, we actually share ice time with our Gladstone community, which history has shown that we often lean on Gladstone to make enough of a team, and doing that once again, and we get to use their rink as well.
Always coming up with new ideas and ways to make it work for the kids. Last month, you helped organize a rural development camp that also brought out alumni like yourself. This was for the girls. So tell me about She Started Here.
Yeah, this kind of started from just myself being back in the rink, coaching my daughter, and remembering the history of the girls' female hockey in McGregor. And I just wanted to kind of celebrate the females that have come through our arena and the successes that they have carried on from university, national teams, and showing the girls that are starting now what's possible in female hockey, even in a rural town. So we were able to get 70 girls signed up, most of them being U9 and U7, which means the extension of this could be wonderful for our rural communities, and getting them to see not only the skill set that can come, but also the community around it. And us alumni being able to then later playing against the U15s was, you know, letting them see that hockey doesn't have to stop when you leave minor hockey. You can play senior, you can play university levels, and it's a lot of fun. The sport is a lot of fun, and there's a lot of community in it.
Amazing. Thank you so much for the important work that you are doing for your girls and to help grow that sport for girls all over Manitoba.
Yes, thank you for having me.
The weather update is brought to you by Paul Davis Property Restoration Experts. When things go wrong, we do what's right.
Riley's back in now, and outdoor hockey season definitely
long done.
Long done now. Having to rely on those indoor rinks now for sure. Spring tomorrow.
Yeah, 9:34 a.m.
Precisely.
Somewhere around there. I might have the numbers switched around in my head because that happens sometimes. But yeah, we're heading into a new season, and we're going to see much of the same than what we're seeing right now. I'm going to start with a look outside right now from our tower cam, and you can see how some of that fog, how some of that low cloud has really moved in to the city, sitting at 1 degree right now in Winnipeg. Visibility at the airport down to 0 right now, and this fog, I was just looking at some of the modeling, pretty confined right now to the Red River Valley, kind of if you follow Highway 75 and through parts of the southern Interlake. So it's pretty localized right now, but certainly across southern Manitoba, that risk of this spreading persists as we get through the night tonight. Okay, let's have a look at your dog walking forecast. And you know who really likes spending a lot of time in the snow? Kira. Thank you, Betty. Taking this picture on the trails at Camp Morton Provincial Park. You can send yours to talkback at cbc.ca. We still have some winter pictures to go yet before we'll probably start to see some of the more spring ones, but we'll get there when we get there, right? Up to 3 degrees in the afternoon once again tomorrow. A light southwesterly wind. There is the risk that we see some freezing rain or some freezing drizzle pre-dawn, really along the Trans-Canada Highway as we get through the night. Again, the risk of fog patches developing as well, and even staying above the freezing mark in Melita overnight at +1, around -2 in Brandon, -3s, -4s through much of the Interlake, and -2 in Swan River and Roblin overnight tonight. Looking looking at the possibility as well of fog patches into the PA and OCN, -6 overnight, and still another 2 to 4 centimeters of snow coming yet through Thompson into Norway House. Temperatures bottoming out around -8, -9 or so. And there's a little band of snow that will continue pushing through as we get through the morning hours tomorrow. More like light snow in Thompson by the lunch hour at -2 tomorrow afternoon. Popping up above freezing through the PA, OCN, Grand Rapids, Norway House through the day tomorrow, as that light snow continues to push into northeastern Manitoba by the later part of the day tomorrow. And in southern Manitoba, you can see that band of freezing rain, or at least where the forecast modeling is depicting the risk of seeing some of that developing through the early morning hours. By lunchtime, we do start to get into some sunny breaks into the western part of the province, up to 11 in Melita tomorrow afternoon, 7 in Morden and Winkler. A quick look at your long range, looking at -1s in the west as we head into the weekend. Maybe a bit more snow coming. And in northern Manitoba, looking at temperatures staying in the minus single digits in northwestern Manitoba and up to -5 Sunday in Thompson. Still ahead, forget Paris. Those feline fashion icons are all part of an event happening in Winnipeg this weekend. We will tell you all about it when we come back. Stay with us. All right, if you are a lover of animals, particularly cats, well, there's an expo in town you may just want to get your paws on this weekend. It's the Meow Mania Expo happening this Sunday at Assiniboia Downs. The expo will see some of Winnipeg's finest cats stepping up to the catwalk to strut their fluff on stage for the best dressed event. There will also be a market featuring 40 local vendors and an adoption fair to help felines needing a forever home.
All of our vendors there are local. They'll either have something cat themed or something for your cats. We have our Meownificent icons, I like to call them. So our local feline celebrities with social media accounts will be coming up for meet and greets.
Okay, so if you're looking to take part in that, Sunday's event runs from 11 until 5. Lots of melting happening as well as we've gotten throughout the past couple of days, especially with that temperature at 3 degrees. Another high of 3 tomorrow in Winnipeg. So likely seeing moderate melting. That means be on the lookout for some of those large puddles on the roadways because they could be hiding some potholes underneath as well. So just to keep that in mind if you're out and about, pick up an extra jug of washer fluid on your way into work tomorrow. Looking at a chance of maybe some light snow as we get through the early part of the day on Saturday, a high of 0. Sunday looking at -2 as we get through the afternoon, a chance of some flurries in the morning. Then we get a bit of sunshine back to start next week, +2 on the way for Monday and looking at -2 with periods of snow once again by the time we get to Wednesday. Well, the first robin is often considered a sign that spring is right around the corner.
But at Montreal's Eco Museum Zoo, the public and officials had their hearts set on a much bigger animal.
When she's active enough on consecutive days, that's when they take the decision to, okay, we'll open up the door that leads to her outdoor living space that's visible to the public here. So that's what we're waiting for today, for that door to open.
And there it is. They didn't have to wait long for Jeannie the black bear to emerge from hibernation. Spotting her is an annual event at the zoo, just like next month's first breakfast with the bears. Jeannie has been more receptive to humans since the death of another bear. Officials say the animals under their care are not suited to be released into the wild.
I was just waiting for that door to open.
Jeannie looks a little hungry after winter hibernation there.
Long wait to get through the season.
Right? Lots of people out there waiting for her. Well, we hope Jeannie has a really good spring. Lots of food out there.
Lots of melting happening too.
We'll see you later. Have a great night.
See ya.